going on, people? You're watching That Deep podcast on TLDTV today. We're joined with our panel. How are we doing out there? Chloe, you all right?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Nice, all good. Abdel, college life is treating you okay?
Yeah, it's all right. Always the same stuff.
Yeah, nice. And Jordan, how's the modelling going?
Yeah, it's going really well. It's going really great. If anyone wants me to be a model, then please shout me.
Get them ace vouchers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and any form of payment will do, it sounds like.
100%. 100%.
We're going to jump into it. So our first topic for today was cancel culture. So there's a whole host of people, celebs and others that have come under fire with the threat of being cancelled. There's some that say free speech is at stake in this debate. I'm going to go to Abdel first. Abdel, what's one of the ones that stands out to you from this whole cancel culture debate?
Well, I think, cancel culture is it's good to tackle most issues like racism, politics stuff, like homophobia and all of that. But sometimes people need to think about it before they start cancelling people. Example, Kevin Hart, his one was for making a homophobic joke. He was...
Are you going to get us cancelled? I didn't know it was going to get that deep that quickly.
I don't know.
What's your thoughts on it?
No, but here's the thing though. I've got an explanation for his stuff. Yeah. So he made a homophobic, apparently he made a homophobic joke. But what he said was he doesn't want his son to be gay. Yeah, as a joke, as a stand-up joke. Yeah, but what I think is that these days people don't really pay attention to what your intentions are. What they look at is more of the words that you say. But I think people should pay more attention to those person's intentions before deciding to cancel them or set them a punishment. Because his one was not to hurt someone, it was to entertain everyone else. And I think a person like him, most of us, whenever we're depressed, if you ever switch on Kevin Hart, I promise you your depression will just go, you start laughing the whole time. You get me? So counseling someone like that valuable, someone that helps with everyone's mental health, of not everyone, but most people, especially me, if I'm depressed, I'll just turn it on, start laughing, and then I'll forget about everything. So if we got rid of him, that would be we just lost someone that's doing something to help the society. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to say.
I hear you. Chloe, what's your initial take on it?
So I heard something quite interesting. I was watching, so Jamila Jamil was on, I think it's the Smiths, Jaden Smith and her mum and Jada, isn't it? They have a round table kind of
Yeah, I've seen that.
thing. Yeah, it's so, I think it's the Red Table Talks or something.
Yeah.
And she was talking about how it's actually really hard to cancel anyone. So she used to throw abuse over Twitter and stuff like this, and she was holding her hands up saying, I've done it, I was trying to get back at, it was kind of this is going deep again, but at females she was annoyed at men for the way they treated her, but she was taking it out on the females. And so she was kind of using social media in those ways, and she was branded as the most hated person on the internet, or most controversial, I think, person on the internet. And she was saying, but actually it wasn't the people trying to cancel her, but it was actually she was saying, particularly in women, that they cancel themselves because they don't fight back. They either feel the shame, or they feel they don't want to be part of this because they're getting trolled and all this hate online. So they actually end up cancelling themselves, and that she felt it was a lot more towards females, the hate will kind of continue. People don't forget it as easily. Whereas with guys, that it seemed in her, obviously she's in radio, DJ, whatever else, that the guys were all right, like pretty soon after they do something funny, they're back in the media. The media love them, whereas the media had something against women. She was saying, you know, she turned up to a festival and she had put on a bit of weight, and that's what everyone was commenting on, rather than how good she'd won awards for that festival. So they were commenting on all the wrong things because of the social expectations of women. So I think it's an interesting, I haven't kept up with like all the cancel culture within like pop culture in general, but I thought that was a really interesting point. That is cancel culture like as relevant as we think? Like, can we actually cancel people just from what we're posting? I don't know.
I hear you. Yeah, and Jordan, thoughts?
Well, yeah, I think that was quite a good point. And also, like, I think that culture and social media has like moved on quite a lot in the last couple of years. Like, it's changed a lot. And I think that our expectations of our celebrities is changing a lot and is kind of constantly evolving. And certain things that, you know, may have been okay to tweet 10 years ago aren't okay to tweet anymore. And so it's kind of that like interest in how we kind of responding to them, how we sort of, again, it's right. How do you cancel someone? Do you just stop following them? Do you kind of never watch a movie they're in again? It's an interesting concept and something that I think is almost still being discovered, and we're trying to find out what it really is. And yeah, it's kind of that crazy thing really, where I feel that there's a lot of like celebrities that have just sort of thrive on the controversy anyway. And so they'll sort of do things to sort of get cancelled and try and like, yeah, make the situation about themselves just to sort of sell whatever, maybe it's an album, maybe it's a film, whatever they're in. So it's kind of like an interesting thing that some celebrities are actually trying to utilize to, get them more famous, where we're trying to like still figure out what happens. Because obviously there are some like bad people, like bad celebrities that have done some very bad things, which kind of leads me to that question, which is like, can you separate the art from the artist? I think that's quite a prevalent question in this like conversation, really. I think it's a little bit, you kind of have your own interpretation of that. Because I think I can separate the art from the artist, but I know that a lot of people can't, and so therefore it becomes quite a sticky conversation, doesn't it?
One of the things you guys touched on was kind of the time period there, which we're discussing a bit before we got into it, Eminem. And I feel like where he came from in terms of the decade he come from, the 90s, it's like largely incompatible with everything that I see going on right now. There's been many a questionable song lyric that came out of the 90s. Which for the most part, I feel like people have no business going back there. If you didn't live through it, it's best to just leave it contextually. But do we feel as though there should be a line between, because we were talking about tweets earlier sent in the past and such, should there be a line that says this was like 10 years ago in a different time period? It's, you know, it shouldn't be a thing in the same way.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, just to butt in a second, but there's actually one that I remember like recently, and it's very like off topic, but it's there was a guy that used to like do songs of praise, and he basically tweeted something like, again, 15 years ago about somebody, and it kind of all came to light. And yeah, it was kind of an interesting one, because I in my head was a bit like, oh, it was 15 years ago, like give the guy a break, like he's changed, he's, you know, probably doesn't even have that same mindset that he did. But yeah, still people kind of held on to it, and he actually got he got kicked off Songs of Praise, if I recall it properly, which is a bit mad, really. So yeah, I think that there is a line that sort of needs to be drawn, but it's quite difficult, because I think that, yeah, like, how do we do that? What year is it that we decide to take, you know, is it from 2005? Yeah. But I mean, obviously I'd like it to happen, but I just don't know what year you'd cut it off at.
Yeah.
I know. Chloe, what do you think? Your grandparents, can we judge them in the same way?
That's actually a good point. Going from what Jordan was saying, though, is like, I don't think it's so much as that the times have obviously changed what we say. Like, there was that guy on I'm a Celebrity as well. Jack Maynard, I want to say. He's a YouTuber, and people just want to hate, I think. So some people, they're out to hate. So maybe with Songs of Praise, it's one of them where it's like you find it and you think that's scandalous as to like the kind of thing he's doing now. So it's like a reason to hate that person. And I think we can so like easily judge because of what they're doing now, whereas we should, rather than like the time that it was said at, think about who they are now, because we've all changed. We're not the same person we were 10 years ago and probably aren't saying the same thing, like no matter what age you are. So I think like, yeah, people used to say stuff that they thought was maybe funny isn't anymore and is now like a homophobic slur or is a racist, whatever it is. Yeah, our grandparents, it's a different generation. They perhaps don't know what they're doing. So it's a hard line, isn't it? As you said, Jordan. But yeah, Junior, I don't know, with grandparents, it's you try and change their minds, but they're not always willing to change. But I think it's an understanding thing, like whether they know what they're saying is wrong or what they're even saying. They probably don't know the backstory of where that word comes from or whatever it may be. So I guess it's just about education and like not judging people from like stuff they've said in the past in terms of the tweets and stuff, and trying to move forward, look at where they are now and like help them grow rather than like think about what they used to say.
Yeah, there's a lot of valid points in there, especially I think from a generational perspective. Abdel, your take on factor?
Like what Chloe said, yeah, like, I agree with it, because back in the day, people weren't like educated as we are now, and they were like less open-minded as us, because, for example, like homophobia was like homosexuality was illegal back in the day, so like no one was accepting it. But now we've evolved to like accept it as like, oh, we're all together in this. That's what, so like with what people said back in the day is because of the kind of generation that we're in. They weren't really much of an acceptance of this kind of stuff, and plus like we've all got like different kind of cultures these days, because like, for example, we dress differently to how they used to dress back in the day. So like people change, like we all evolve. So like you shouldn't judge someone from what they did back then, because the rules were different to what they are now.
Yeah,
so true.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. You know, that kind of narrative of, it's almost like, I think without it being said, I think there's a feeling that we've got it right now. In as much as it just feels like generationally, and I've heard it said from that perspective where I think people feel like acceptance is at an all-time high now. Whereas I think when we actually read, like, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Like going back to like ancient Rome, ancient Greece, and these kind of things, it's like no one's really that fussed about sexuality. Like we've all seen paintings where it's just like a crowd of people just like meshed in, and there's just like grapes and wine everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think you like to feel like, oh, you know, we've just got to this place now where, we're starting to accept people. Whereas I think we've like ebbed and flowed. And I guess part of me questions whether is this a result of comfortability, where going back to the generational thing, none of us are too concerned about Nazis invading anytime in the next few weeks or anything like that.
Yeah.
So now we kind of shift our thoughts to like, what other dangers, you know, what other things are out to get us. And it does feel a bit like culture has been defined by that. Jordan, do you feel comfortability plays a part in this kind of emergence of cancel culture?
Yeah, I think it does. I think that you're right in saying that we're kind of almost trying to find something to kind of keep us entertained. I think that lockdown as well, I mean, especially like last year, it felt a little bit like everybody was in this limelight. And if you kind of messed up in any way, like last year on social media, then you were done for. Like, people would come after you so hard. And I think that there is that level of, I think that, as I said, like, culture has changed, and I think that you're right, comfortability has come into it. So therefore, like, we all have this like set agenda of what we think is right, what we don't think is right, and how we need to implement it into society. But it's an interesting one, because I think that certain demographics think differently about things, and I think that's where we're seeing a lot of clashes. And yeah, I think that obviously social media, with everyone having an opinion, it's like you can hear what Sandra down the road, who's 45, knows about this topic. Whereas I mean, obviously, like 100 years ago, we just didn't have that. And I think social media gives everybody a voice to sort of say what they want to say. And I think that with COVID going on, with it being quite a negative thing, I think a lot of people kind of just turn to Twitter to just rant about a lot of things, a lot of social issues. And yeah, therefore, I think there was a lot of like clashes in them. And it just got highlighted a lot more, because I just don't think anyone was really, well, I know for me, I wasn't really doing anything other in that year of like lockdown. So yeah, I think it just got highlighted.
Yeah, that's a good point, especially from a digital footprint perspective. Which is, I guess, part of the scary thing, in that something that we've written however long ago, we don't know how our careers are going to go from here on in, but it's like out there somewhere on the internet. And just leading to that, so Chloe, you were saying earlier about kind of a female-targeted group, or perhaps that women may have it worse within that culture. Do you think that there's more of a female-led influence of the culture as a whole?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a hard one, because obviously I haven't been in that position. I'm not on a platform where I've had anything targeted at me. But I would say that girls do go at each other. Like, maybe that is part of, like, I don't know. I think it's of what Jordan was saying, was like society standards. And I think girls have maybe learned that's the way to deal with it. I don't know, that if they're maybe feeling empowered by then trying to...
Can I say something?
Yeah, go for it.
Saying that, do you think that if girls supported like each other more, they'll be like more like stronger than if they're like, because at the moment, like, as you can see, most girls will like to go at each other, like hate each other for like some dumb reason. Whereas now with guys, like, I know I'm not a girl, so I don't really know how you lot deal with stuff, but that's what I've seen from that perspective. But with guys, like, no matter what you do, you know you've got your guys behind you, like they will always back you to the end. But with girls, like, they'll be friends there for like years, and then one argument they'll start hating each other for the rest of their life. That's what I've seen from my perspective. So I was just wondering, like, if you've seen the same, like, and if you think if that was different, you lot will have like more, I was like, more chances, like, or like be the same as guys, like how we all stand together, like help each other out and stuff, like, and try it. Even if we had a fight today, I know we'll make up like the next day, or like just a couple weeks down the road.
Just Chloe, before you respond, just know your next few sentences could change Abdel's life in new and frightening ways.
I'm like, there are so many points.
There's a lot there.
Yeah,
I'm not a girl, so I don't really know what it's like being a girl.
Yeah, I get you.
I'm just saying from my perspective.
I can try to give you
make that point.
I'm just trying to like see what you think.
Yeah. I think there's, first of all, definitely an increase in girls supporting girls. I think especially after everything happening over the past couple of weeks in the media and stuff, going deep again, but with obviously Sarah Everard, what happened with her. And then I don't know if you guys, you probably can't miss it, but the statistics from the UN about sexual harassment and stuff, that 97% of young females, so anyone 18 to 24, have been sexually harassed. And girls weren't surprised. Almost every girl I spoke to was not at all surprised the minute they read that. Whereas guys seem to have been, and some of the backlash that's been on social media because of that has been pretty crazy. Like, it's shocking to see some of the jokes, some of the stuff like there's some things you can joke about, but some of these were.
I don't think anyone should joke about sexual harassment.
No,
that's just wrong.
Yeah, and so I feel like there was an increase in girls sort of speaking out and supporting each other. But I get what you're saying. I feel like the prime example of this is, like, say a couple, the boyfriend cheats and the girl goes after the girl rather than, who has no loyalty to her.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like, this isn't everyone, don't get me wrong, but it happens like countless times and the girls end up hating each other. Do you know what I think it's mostly down to, though, is the emotional side of things. From what you were saying, how can't they get over it, is I feel like I'm not a typical girl, first off. I'm like the least girly girl. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's a hard one. But yeah, I feel like girls just maybe, I don't know where what the question even was now. Was it how council culture? Or
yeah, it's like I think you lot should back each other more. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, you lot should back each other more than like.
Abdel said he's a feminist. He just wants to see more feminists, I think.
Yeah, like, if a guy cheated on you, you go after the guy, not the girl. Because more time, you know the guy made the first move.
True.
That's what I'm saying. Like, plus, one thing I've seen is, like, you know how most girls are like, oh, like, normally, like, I'm not even saying girls, like, normally if a guy has more sex than a girl, everyone like looks at him like a god or some stuff, like the champ of the group for it. But if a girl does the same, everyone will be like, oh, she's a slag, calling her bad names. But what you see is that other girls will also be saying the same thing about another girl.
Yeah.
You get me? That's what I don't get. Like, because if a guy did it, it will be his guys that will be backing him. Like, you will never see a girl say that, oh, he's a stud for having more sex. You get me? You see his guys backing him, like, being like, oh, yeah, you done this, my guy. But if it was a girl, it will be boys and girls going after her. Instead of it, like, just other girls just backing her and then, like, getting over the negativity that the boys are putting on her. You get me?
Yeah, do you know what, though? This goes back to the original question that Junior asked, I think, is the idea of what society tells us. So because online, it's like we learn all this stuff, not just that, obviously that's not online as well, but like the perception that the media gives of women and what social media gives off are the vibes we're getting. So then that's happening in person as well. And I think that goes right back to why perhaps girls are trolling or feeling like they need to hate on other girls or whatever it may be. Like, I know it's not just girls, but I think that women just aren't painted in a good light in media in general.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, I think the idea that Jordan was saying earlier about, I was thinking of like the idea of no publicity is bad publicity, but with a girl you can so easily be cancelled. Like, it can just be like you were saying, words like that thrown out about you know, if they've been sleeping around, if that goes out on the internet 9 times out of 10, it's not a good recovery.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't come on with it. It will be like both genders coming at you. But if it was a guy, he will have the guys that are backing him. There might be like that one girl here that will be saying, oh, this is not good, it's not this. And then no other girl will say something about it. But if it was a girl who done it, the guys and the girls will come together just to get rid of that one girl. You get me? So that if girls backed each other more and like stop hating each other, yeah, like, I'm not saying all girls hate each other, but most of them, most girls have beef with each other. I know guys who've got gang violence and all of that stuff. But if you go on the internet, you see girls throwing shade at each other and stuff. Even celebrities, like you've got Nicki Minaj and Cardi B beefing each other. I think if both of them were to like come together and like show that if girls are together, they're more stronger. Like made the music and then won some award, I think it will help girls understand that if you all come together, you're stronger than being by yourself. You get me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's that emotional thing with the girls are also supporting each other a lot, but you just might not see it. But then there's also the other side of things. But yeah, I don't know. I was just going to say, do you think that guys, though, back up girls? Like, do you ever hear your guys, like, if the girls are, like, because you were saying it comes from both sexes when it's a girl, whereas guys, it's like guys back guys. But do you think the guys then stand up for the girls enough, or?
Most guys, I'm going to be real with you. Most guys will not back a girl who's been sleeping around. I'm just being real with you. Like, I think
it's with them, like, look.
Like, everyone knows it. That most guys will never back a girl that's been doing that stuff. You get me?
Yeah.
Like, that's facts.
I wanted to ask Jordan, just because I think one of the themes here, and because I don't want to position it as a female movement, because it isn't. But what I would position it as is a feelings movement. So, Jordan, what I wanted to ask you is, do you think that feelings are more important to one gender than the other?
I don't think they're more important. I think girls are better at showing them than guys. I think that culturally, I think that guys haven't been as good at kind of saying what they think about certain situations in their life that are going on. Whereas I think the girls are just a bit naturally better at sitting down and talking about how they feel, and therefore I think it gets to a positive outcome a lot quicker. Whereas I think guys kind of subdue it and keep it down for a little bit longer. And then sometimes it comes out in some random situation that has got nothing to do with it. But I think that, again, recently I think that we've kind of become a lot more sensitive as a human race. I don't think that's as one gender or another. And so therefore I think that it's becoming a bit more, if anything, I worked at a school like a year ago, and it's almost like trendy now to be like sad. Like it's almost like a thing. Like, you know, even if you go into music, like all these rap songs, it's all about how much pain's in their voice, and it's almost like how cool is it? And so therefore I think it's kind of, but I almost see it as a bit of like growing pains of social media. I just think it's social media growing up and sort of understanding what it is in its own weird way. But yeah, it's
like,
crazy.
Like, with what I said back then, like how rules were different to what they are now. See, like back in the day, like if you see a guy crying or showing his emotions, like someone would say, "Oh, he's weak. He's not a man." But now, like, we're more acceptance of guys showing their emotions, so what they're feeling. So it all.
Thank you, Drake. We owe you.
How
I said we owe Drake a lot. I think he kind of single-handedly, realigned the whole movement and managed to get rich doing it. So that's pretty awesome.
He single-handedly stopped toxic masculinity. That's pretty mad.
Oh, bro. You know what it is? These days, most people don't sit down and think. They just go with the whole trend. Like, whatever's trending, that's what everyone goes for. You get me?
Yeah.
But with me, like, I like to deep things and see what's good and what's bad for myself.
Yeah.
Before like just jumping on the trend train, you get me?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. I guess the one other dynamic of concern in there is, and I know this came up with Disney's recent cancellation, Gina Carano. So political views, there's a feeling that political views that lean towards the right, so the Republican, the conservative perspective, that we're more likely as a culture to aim cancel culture in that direction than we are left-leaning policies, so more liberal, accepting policies. I guess the danger with that is you end up with such an alienated group of people that it causes a divide in society. Chloe, I don't know if you've seen any trend in that direction, or if you think that there is a danger there of just targeting cancel culture at one particular group of people.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely happening. Trying to think of an example on the spot.
So if we take something like abortion, we know it's a divisive topic. So if you do put out something that is left leaning, so you're more in line with women's rights, cancel culture is not going to come after you. You're pretty safe. Whereas if you were to say abortion should be illegal, you're now in dangerous territory. So it's like those perspectives and point of view. So literally, they're just two sides of a coin. Do you know what I mean? Realistically, it's just agree, disagree. But I know there's a growing group of people, and even in terms of this, I don't know who's listening in this YouTube world, but I know a lot of people are leaving YouTube because of that as well, where they're having things taken down. So if you do reflect a right-leaning point of view, you're finding yourself having to battle upstream quite a lot these days.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of like how you could stop that though, because obviously there's that idea that do you really have freedom of speech? Like probably not nowadays, partly online because of cancel culture. Whether you can do more to, I guess you're always, the thing is, it's trolling, isn't it? You're always going to like have trolling if these social media platforms don't do anything about it. So even if I don't, there's people that watch and don't agree but don't comment, but there's always going to be the people that troll. And I saw something recently about a troller who was obsessed with these YouTubers to the point where she was on these forums and like talking about them. And if she ever said anything negative, she'd get more feedback than if she said something positive. So it made her feel like she was in a community. So she'd say more and more hate, but actually the trollers are the ones that are watching the most, know the most about these people, about these influencers, celebrities, whoever they are. So they're like super fans, but they're hating, they're trolling. So I think it's partly down to culture and society to do something about it in terms of not segregating these people from the community. But I think it's also hugely down to the social media platforms. I know people were trying to get them to do like ID to sign up for things like Instagram, Facebook. I know that Instagram now, if you have a platform, you can not only have people you follow commenting, which I think is a start, but I guess Twitter is one of the big places that cancel culture happens, and people feel like they have a mask when they're online with the screen between them, so they're able to throw this hate. So I think it's like a change in culture that needs to happen for people to feel less segregated, because obviously they should be able to say what they want, but it's just hard because it's not really society's views now. I think it's the age generational thing as well. The younger people tend to be, I guess, I'd say more liberal. So they're going to be the ones that aren't agreeing. So maybe there are people that stand with people who are more right-wing, but they're just maybe not as prevalent or present on social media. I don't know. Yeah,
it's a good point. I'm thinking, Abdel, along that same line as well, I guess just looking for points of view that split down the aisle. So Wiley ticked the box, for example, in terms of, the opposing view that would rapidly get you cancelled. And I know at the time, a lot of people were like, how is Katie Hopkins still like online? like while he had police at his door at the same time. Do you feel like it leans in a particular direction, kind of who gets cancelled?
I don't think so. Like, I think everyone, like, it depends on, as long as you disagree with the majority, you're literally getting cancelled. That's what I've seen so far. Like, if a lot of people agree with one statement, and you're like, oh, part of the minority that doesn't like that statement, or like you're like the only person that just doesn't like it, everyone will just be like, oh, why are you saying this? That's not what it is. You get me? So it's like you're not entitled to your own opinion, like these days. You just have to follow what everyone's saying, or you're in trouble.
Yeah, I guess the funny one is, I guess, continuing the Katie Hopkins theme, I feel like she's been at war with quote unquote fat people for like a good 5 to 10 years. And I like to think that as a majority culture, it's not where everybody stands. I don't know. Like, Jordan, can you account for the immunity of certain characters and the cancellation of others?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think someone like Katie Hopkins, it's almost like funny to hate her now. It's almost like it's become a thing. You know what I mean? That she's just going to say crazy things and we're all just going to sit there and go, why have you done that?
I feel like that's Wiley as well, though.
Yeah, but Wiley's clever, though. Wiley's all about his next album coming up.
I've never heard anyone say it before.
No, I get that. But his is, well, in my personal opinion, his is very like, I remember. I mean, it's slightly different because I don't think it was as controversial. But he would go after someone like Ed Sheeran, like a week before his album's dropping. Like, it felt very like, what's the word when someone's very kind of
strategic?
Yeah, it felt very strategic, and I feel that Wiley can be a bit like that. So there's kind of always part of me that feels that when he's saying something, he knows what the response is going to be, and he's kind of just trying to, again, utilize that for his own gain. Or I think there's also people that just say things because it's funny to wind other people up. Like
what I was going to say is like, it's ignorance as well. So like, the more ignorant you are, the less effective it's on you. Because if you just keep ignoring them, they'll get tired and just leave you alone. So like, they'll just have to deal with you like that. You get me? Like, that's what I was just thinking. Like, so with Katie Hopkins and like Wiley don't really care about what people say. As long as he's got his stuff across, he doesn't really mind. And like Katie Hopkins, same with her. Like, she'll keep saying the same thing and not give not care about what anyone's saying about her, or like anyone trying to cancel her.
Yeah,
she's just her. Like, she's just
trying to cancel her, I guess is the thing.
I think we've all given up.
That's what I'm saying. Like, as much if you can ignore people for that long, they just leave you, like, just to be.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, like, the reality is with cancel culture, you can just turn your phone off and it all goes away in some elements. Like, I'm not saying it's as easy as that 100% of the time, but the reality is, if I just delete my Instagram, that's X amount of people that aren't going to be able to comment and say horrible things to me.
Not even that. Like, if you only trend for a couple months or like a couple weeks, and that's it. Like, everyone just forget about it and leave you.
Yeah.
That's the thing with Katie Hopkins, though. She doesn't want to be forgotten about. It's a publicity stunt. She's just entertainment now, isn't she? So she wants that fame. So she'll say anything to get that reaction. So I feel like it goes back to that idea of cancelling yourself, that people can say what they want online, but that's what she wants. He wants to be trending on Twitter, like even if it's in a bad way. So that's good for her. Like she literally said on this morning about she hates names of places. Did you guys see that video like years ago? And her kid is called India or something like that. So it's like she knows what she's doing. She did not do that like by accident, did she? She knew what she was saying.
Yeah,
she's like the villain of social media now.
Piers Morgan movie.
Oh, that was so funny. Why did he walk out like that?
What?
I just found it funny how he stomped out. I just thought it was a funny walk.
The weatherman as well.
Yeah. Right, that's it. I've had enough.
oh my days. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I guess what we're discussing here is whether you can structure yourself into a kind of cancel repellent bubble where no one can touch you. I feel like Eminem's there, just because I feel like his whole brand is offense.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, like everyone rates him. That's why, like a lot of people, like the older people, some of the youngest, most of them rate him. It's like it's really hard to cancel someone like that because you have like the majority on the side.
Would you also say that like Eminem's kind of like had to grow up proving everybody wrong, like in terms of just being a white rapper? I think that especially in that time, he just had to prove to everyone that he was actually quite good.
Yeah.
So I think he's just sort of built up a resilience. So when a 17-year-old online saying that he's not very good, I think he's probably just going to be a bit like, whatever. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like with ignorance, I was also like, as soon as you've got that kind of ignorance, like cancel culture is like it's not effective on you.
Yeah.
Like, if you can manage to ignore it for like a couple of weeks, they'll stop.
Yeah.
And like nothing will just happen to you. Plus, most of the time, if you're independent, like for example, if you're with like, let's say you work for a TV show, you work on a TV show, and like you start trending, and then they start losing views. That's like you're in danger. Without the TV show, like you're nothing. So if they try their best and then they involve the TV show, that's when you can like the cancel culture is effective. You get me? But if you're more independent, like Eminem, his people can get rid of him. Like, but at the moment he's like too big to like just get rid of.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's a monetary element to it too, in as much as it kind of feels like if an organization feels like Disney in that case, if they feel like you could affect the bottom line and their finances, that will make a difference.
Yeah. Because like let's say because of you, they're not getting that much they expect to get. And you're just one person, they've got all the other people. That's easy. They can replace you. So they can just get rid of you, find another person. But if, let's say you're someone that's just irreplaceable, like Eminem, like he's that white rapper that everyone sees him as the person that kind of laid down the plan for like white rapper to like just come up. You get me? Like he started the whole thing. So like, for example, people look at him like, if it wasn't for him, most rappers wouldn't be here. Like they wouldn't be accepted as much as they are now. So like, if you get rid of someone like that, that's like getting rid of hope in some sense. If you get what I'm saying. Yeah.
Imagine getting rid of Oprah.
Yeah, like it's like he's back in the day. He's like hope, innit? That's what I'm saying. So. Yeah, so if you get rid of him, it's like you just get rid of everyone's dreams and like people's like memories, like when they were younger. Because remember when you was younger and then you hear your uncle playing Eminem on the radio and stuff, you get me? And then out of nowhere, you just see him get cancelled. He's gone, like you don't even hear him. The only thing you see about him is just negative stuff. It kind of messes up your memory as well. like with all the memories that you've had with his songs.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, that to the people, so I almost feel like there's a movement that happens. So just regular Joe, Rita, just the regular folks that comment. But I feel like there has to be the second layer of like people, industry people, television, newspaper, journalism. If those people like you, I think you're all right. And I feel like Eminem, for example, do you know what I mean? Like it has to be the music blogs to cancel him.
Yeah.
They're the ones that, and you know, all of them, like who doesn't have the Marshall Mathers LP? Do you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
It's like just like laughable. I mean, especially at this stage. So generally, we kind of feel like you can talent your way out of it.
Yeah. Plus,
you know,
remember he came back here and got rid and like had the whole beef with Machine Gun Kelly and still won. At that stage, everyone sees him as like the king of rap. Like not like that's what I'm saying. Like people see him as, oh, he's still there. Like he's still got the talent. So he's still useful to the industry. You get me?
Yeah.
Like let's say he came back and lost that beef. I think he will be out because people he won't be useful anymore because a new generation got rid of the OG.
Yeah. Okay.
Now
so
we're looking
clout,
to
essentially.
We're looking to little Pump for.
That's the thing. Like, we'll just have to look up to Little Pump.
Little Pump.
So that inspiration said that.
I think the biggest compliment I can probably give him is that he was so good at rap that he was able to say the N-word and then continue to rap after that. Like, I think that's how much quote unquote black people love Eminem. Like, and you know, obviously he has a white audience that will support him as well. So, like, yeah, I think he's definitely in the immune list.
Yeah.
Should we? Okay, let's see. If we were to make an immune list, 3 people, Eminem's definitely going on there. Who else would make it as immune to cancel culture? Obviously, there has to be a line drawn in terms of what's done. But if we go by things said, Eminem's on the list, uncancelable. Who else could make it potentially?
Leonardo DiCaprio?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
He said Morgan Freeman as well, fam. Freeman. I don't think anyone can get rid of Morgan Freeman, bro.
I'd hit the man that tried to cancel Morgan Freeman.
That's the thing, like he's immune. Like whatever he does, you can't really cancel him because all you hear is just his light voice saying, "Oh, what the fuck are you not doing?" Or, like he's like one of them people that you like so much that you just can't.
He did something crazy though, right?
But what did he do?
He did something crazy.
Morgan Freeman?
Yeah, something crazy that he did.
See, this shows that he's immune. We all have no idea.
Never heard of it.
And even if he has, we're willing to forget. We're fine with it.
He's immune.
It's like, imagine if David Attenborough, like no one could hate him.
Yeah, that's another good one. That's another good one.
Come on.
You can't really say, get rid of him. Because firstly, he knows a lot about the environment here. If we was all to die right now, he'll be the person that to save us. Like if the world was to come to an end, like he'll know he'll have more knowledge about saving us than anyone else would. So he's useful. Plus, at his age now, like really, man. At his age now, he really want to cancel it.
I feel like it feels like everyone in the 70s was just doing madness. And they came home to roost in the last few years. Like, I don't know what was going on in the 70s. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, that was just all a bit like, it just sounds like a lot of stupid people that were turning a lot of blind eyes to a lot of weird stuff. Like, you know, having kids in like dressing rooms and stuff. Like, why are you even allowing that in the first place? So I think hopefully protocols got a bit better.
Yeah, like see, we've grown, like we've evolved, and now seeing like what the wrong things are. Like that's the thing with the cancel culture. Like it shows
But
people.
that's what they said in the 70s. You know what I mean? Like we get to this new position where we're like, yep, we finally got everything figured out, guys.
But
like,
as humans, yeah, we evolve all the time, so we can't really say what's right now. Yeah, might not be right when we're grown. We're in our like 60s.
Guaranteed. Like 50 years from now, some of the people that we love are gonna be on ropes. Like that's the kind of time we're talking about.
They'll be like, oh nah, this is not right. What you lots accepted back then.
Yeah.
Not what we do now.
We might get cancelled for this very podcast.
Imagine just that couple of years down, and then just comes to you that what was you saying on this?
And I'm sitting there going, it was a great opportunity at the time. And
imagine that.
I'm sure it'll be Abdel as well. And the argument's going to be like, why did none of you say anything at the time? What of that woman hate that you're doing at the beginning?
I'll be like, they're more likely to get cancelled.
Yeah. It was sexual harassment, by the way, Morgan Freeman.
Really?
Oh, shit.
Yeah. God did that.
Said anything about him.
Wow.
Yeah, he's
totally immune. Like, there's nothing he can do about it.
Yeah. I think it also says what we were speaking about earlier of like the media and how you get portrayed in the media. For example, like Morgan Freeman, obviously, as we all are probably still just, if you're writing a piece on that, I think it very much depends on the journalist and if they like them. And because I think some people do get away with like lighter sort of criticism. Yeah, because like someone like Andy Murray, for example, just got criticised for like it was almost like he had to win Wimbledon like blind before we were going to accept him as anything. Whereas like the criticism that he would get for losing one game against like some of the best competitors was just crazy.
Like it's like for a moment, you're a hero till you just make one mistake.
Yeah,
that's it. You're just God.
Yeah. And for some people, it's like that, and then for some people, it's they can do no wrong.
Yeah.
It's like we're gullible to the news because, like, the whole Johnny Depp thing with who's his wife? Because, like, it was like, which side do you take? But then you'd hear stuff that was saying completely the opposite, and it was like Johnny Depp got cancelled from whatever film he was going to be in, but the woman didn't. And I mean, obviously you don't know every fact, but yeah, it's what newspaper you read of who they side with, and then he could be maybe not completely innocent. I feel like there was wrong on both sides, but he was painted out to be like a bad person, and I felt for him. But then again, what do I know? Like, I don't know the facts, so
that's true. I think sometimes people don't listen to both sides of a story. They just go off one of them. Instead of like sitting down, looking at the full story, like, and figuring out what's right and what's wrong for yourself. Instead of like just going with like what someone just said.
I think Tory Lane's like the situation with that was quite a good example of that.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I don't know all of it, but I don't think anyone does. I think it's just a bit like there's two sides of a story, and people are trying to sort of cancel the other if they're a fan of Meghan or Tory.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely shot that girl, allegedly.
This guy made money off it, bro.
He made an album on it.
That's the thing. Man, this nigga made a whole album.
I mean, the thing is that was the stupid one, is that for like a load of other people, that's really worked, where they've like not said anything, and then they've gone for this like album, like explaining it all, and you know, it's like wow, that was so amazing. Tory Lanez, it just flopped so hard. Like it just didn't do it. Like everyone was like, yeah, we still don't believe you.
Bro, the amount of music, people just trying to know like what happened through his song, so that they literally had to listen to it. That's how smart he is, just to make the peas off it.
True.
Yeah, it's also for court though, because if he'd done an IG live or something, it would have been held as a factual account. Whereas if you present it artistically in court, it was just a song. It wasn't real. So
yeah, that's true.
He can say what he wants.
Now apparently he wasn't allowed to say anything about it. Like,
that's what I mean. But he made an album, so go figure. Like, what was that?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's smart. Like he made a whole album just to make peace and like tell his story as well.
Yeah, the bail money album. Yeah.
He used this situation to get the bail money.
Yeah, we're giving a nice chunk of content. Let's summarize. So, final thoughts on cancel culture. Chloe, help take us home. What's your final thoughts on this cancel culture thing?
I think it's hard to cancel someone, and it's what we want to hear. I think a lot of people get cancelled. It's more a money thing, that they might get cancelled from something they're getting paid for, like TV, music, whatever it is. But actually to cancel and not be present online is really hard, and that's down to like your reaction and your mental health or state that you're in, listening to what people are saying about you. So yeah, hard to cancel.
Yeah, Abdel, without mentioning women, final thoughts on cancel culture.
I think sometimes it's effective in attacking social issues, but people should look at the story more, like do their research before they make their decision. That's like my thing.
Words of wisdom. Jordan?
Yeah, I agree with Chloe and Abdul, but I think there's a lot of factors in it, and I think there's a lot of kind of, different sides of the story, and I think that it's something that can be a useful tool if someone's obviously done something very bad, but I think when it's over a tweet from 15 years ago, I think it's just a bit, we need to leave it in the past where it belongs.
Leave it in the past. Yeah, the days. Yeah, cool. It'll be interesting to see, because I know the way life's going. Within the next few months, it's going to keep coming back to back. Worse, Trump's been awfully quiet lately, so I'm waiting to see.
Oh, he got mad.
He's got his own social media coming, you know.
Yeah, and then there's I don't want to do other ads, but there's Rumble. As an alternative to this platform is growing quite rapidly as well. Scary times in a way, because that's what I mean. These people that have been cancelled are kind of forming, these drops are forming puddles in places and then growing into this storm of anger of people being cancelled before. It's almost like a subplot to X-Men or something, but yeah. We'll get into that a bit more another time. Thanks everyone that's been on the panel today. You've been watching That Deep podcast. I'm sure it lived up to its name today. Hopefully we don't get cancelled, so we see you all again next time. Take care.